Okay, we're back to the hands. What we need to do now is we need to turn this inside out. Now it's a little bit tricky to do, but you want to start like this and just start kind of folding this down over top. And this is actually where this rod comes in handy. And sometimes you need to pull it from here, so you have to kind of get your fingers in there because it's pretty tight. But you want to get all this out, and this is where this rod comes in handy. That's that curtain rod that I was telling you about. Sometimes we just put that on top like that, and you can work that hand through. So it takes some practice. It really does. It's not something that that you'll do real quick right off the bat, but you'll get the hang of it eventually. Okay, we're just about there. I see a thumb coming through. Oh, finger, thumb, I'm not sure which. Again, I'm using that rod. Just be very gentle when you poke those through because you don't want to tear the felt and puncture it at all. There we go. So we've got our hand all the way through. Now we're going to take our foam, polyfill, and we're going to start filling that. So this is how that you do that. Just take a little bit at a time, about that much, and stuff it down the hand. You're going to use your rod to put it in its place. I usually start with the thumb first, so we'll get it down there. And then get it over to thumb area. There we go. Okay, it's getting there. And again, this just takes a little bit of patience. There, you got that thumb filled now. So do the rest for the rest of the hand. Do each finger about that same amount, and then start filling up the arm itself. Okay, we have the arm all filled, and we'll just leave a little bit close to the opening there, and that's how you do that. So we'll do the other hand, and then we'll put those aside for the just time being. Okay, we're getting ready to do the body, so we're going to just simply sew these two little corners here first. So let's do that. Make sure this piece is lined up good. And then we'll do the other side. And then just simply cut those out. That'll be the shoulders. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the arms, and now again we're going to leave this part open here, okay? But we're going to be sewing the sides, but we want to get the arms inside. And remember, we've already turned the arms inside out, or right side out, however you want to say it, and we've already stuffed them. Now also we want to keep in mind this is the thumb side. So as you're looking at the arm, you can tell this is how the arm goes. The thumb is up. And we want to put this inside this here body part just like this. So we're going to open up this body like that. We're going to take the arm, kind of push the stuffing down a little bit, and we're going to lay that right inside that seam. So let me lay it in there, and then I'll give you a bird's eye view. Get my fingers out of the way. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to bring the top of the body back over the top where that arm is at, and it's a little tricky, but you'll get it. And then we're going to sew it. Okay, good job. Sew it all the way down. And I'll just show you what it looks like here. Get rid of my threads. Okay, so now we have the arm on the inside, and if we take this and bring it upside right, or inside right, however you want to say it, see we have our arm there sewed into that side seam. Okay, and then here's your neck. So that's how you put the arms in there. So we'll do the other one the same way. It's a little bit more trickier because you've got this arm in the way, but it still is doable. So let me get it back to where it needs to be. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take this side, get my thread out of the way. We're going to take the other arm, and remember, the thumb needs to be up. We're going to take it and we're going to put it in this way, and we're going to sew the side. Okay, so you've got your other arm in there facing here. We're going to put this in here and we're going to sew it. Now when you do this, you'll have to bend it a little bit like this in order to get that sewed. So let's see if we can do this here, which I know we can. Just takes a little maneuvering. And again, we want to sew all the way down, but you want to make sure that other hand is out of the way so you don't sew it into the seam. Okay, and that's what your body will look like that. And we're going to leave that like that for now because we've got to then sew the top of this to the head. So we're going to do the head part next. So let's just put that aside for the time being. Alright, now you can see that better. I went ahead and darkened that with a marker. When you look at this, this is the head, and this part here, get out here where you can see it, this is the chin, this is the mouth, this is the front of the puppet, this is the top, this is the slit where the ear would go if you were putting an ear in here, and I'll show you how to do that. And then this part back here that's open, that's what is attached to the body. So that part there, I'm going to get my hand out of the way, that part right there attaches to the neck. Okay, so that stays open. So when you're sewing this, you can start from here and come around. You can just go all the way around, but when you get down to the nose, you want to stop because you want to put your nose inside here somewhere. And we'll show you that in just a jiffy. Let me get this on the machine. Again, this is the top of the head. We're just going to go ahead and come all the way around. Even though we have our slit right there. We're going to come around probably to about halfway down. So right about here. And then we're going to put our nose inside. So we've got our nose, and we just need to stuff that. Okay, get our pretty pink nose, and this is going to be the top part because of the slope. So we're going to take that and we're going to put that inside, and usually sometimes it's easier to cut this first before you sew it, but in this case we'll just kind of judge where the nose is supposed to go. But we're putting it inside right about there, and then bringing that back over, see where the line is at, and then we're just going to sew right over that nose, hopefully. That's the plan anyhow. Subject to change. Position a little bit. I think we got it. And then we're just going to continue around the chin area. All the way to the neck. Okay, so now we've got that sewed. Now what we're going to do here is we've got our nose right in there, and what we're going to do now is we're just going to trim all this excess off, and then we're going to go ahead and cut for our mouth. Now I have drawn the line back to there. I always like to cut just about ½ inch before the line, just in case I've measured it too far in. So when I'm cutting that, I'm just going to go ahead and cut to about there, and we'll just leave a little bit. The same is true here. We're going to go ahead and, even though we're not putting ears on her, we're going to go ahead and cut that because we're going to sew that. I think you call it a pleat maybe. But if I was going to do an ear, I'd cut all the way down to here so that I could put my ear inside, much similar to how I did the nose. So I'm going to cut this side as well. And then we'll just trim up the excess here. Get rid of all that. And also this, sometimes the excess can also be used for the ears. Of course that's not a lot of material there, so probably not, but if you want to keep the extra pieces, that's up to you. Okay, so now we have our head region, and if I was to use this as a puppet right now, this is the neck, this is where your hand eventually goes into, and there's your mouth. Oh, let me get back to the camera. There we go. Okay, so that's kind of how it looks. This is the top of the head here, and we're going to sew that just like that. That's kind of what gives it the round look, oval look. So that's where we're at currently. Okay, the next step is to sew those, I guess you call them pleats, I don't know what else to call them, but this is the top of the head, and we're going to sew this together. So we're just going to, actually the easiest way that I've known to do it is just take the two tops and bring them together like that. And there we go. Okay, and then we're just going to sew all the way around that to the other side. And I'm not going to video this part. Okay, so now you have the top of the head. There's of course the mouth area where my fingers are coming through. I've got my hand in the back of the neck. So that's how you do the top of the head. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the mouth and we're going to sew that to the head of the puppet. So we're going to take it oval like this and just bring it down to where it's half. And after we do that, what we're doing is we're just marking it in the center. We're just going to do that, and then we're going to bring it over into a quarter. And then we're going to take our marking pencil and just mark at the very tips here on both sides. And that way that'll give me a reference point where I need to, there we go, a reference point of where I need to put it to the head of the puppet. Okay. So I've got my 2 reference points. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to sew this to this side of the puppet. So again, we still have the puppet head inside out, and we're going to take this mouth part and we're going to start sewing it to that that reference point is going to go on the seam. So the oval part, the top part of the oval, is going to go to the seam, and we're going to sew that all the way around like this. And what I usually do is I usually sew probably about that much first. Okay, let me come around on this side, about from here to my fingers. I do that much, and then I switch around and do the other side on the bottom of the mouth, and then I work my way into the corners of the mouth. Okay, so I am starting at about that far away from the seam of the mouth, and then I'm going to come over to the other side and do the same thing. We're going to sew about a quarter of an inch. And if you'll remember, it was a quarter of an inch that we allowed extra when we put the mouth on the piece of felt when we were drawing it out. Okay. I'm going to come around and do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to take my reference point and I'm going to match it up with the other seam on the other side. And I'm going to sew the same amount. Like I did previously. Okay, and I usually just leave it in the machine, but I'm taking it out so I can show you what we're doing when I get to this part here. Get rid of my threads. Good sharp pair of scissors is wonderful to have on a project like this. Alright, so now I have, here's the head. Okay, and here's, we've already got part of the mouth in there now. There's the chin area. And now what I'm going to be doing is sewing the rest of this part right here. Okay, so we're going, and you'll see it looks like it's just going to match perfectly, so I'm glad I didn't cut it much more this way when I was making my cut. There we go. It looks like it's going to match pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and start my sewing, and I'm going to come around, and I'll probably stop right before I get to the corner of the mouth and come around and do the top. If it's going to pucker, I'd rather it pucker in the corner than I would up here somewhere. So, okay, I'm coming into this. This is the corner of the mouth, and here's where my other seam stopped. I don't know if you can see this down here, right about there. And so I'm just going to go ahead, because it all matches up pretty good. See, it's kind of bunched right here. That's fine, because that's the corner of the mouth. So I'm going to go ahead and sew that all the way down there. Trying to keep the bunched up part in the same area. Turn this a little bit. Very good. And as you can see on the other side, we got it pretty good there, all the way around. And there's where the corner of the mouth is. So we're going to do the same thing to the other side, and then we'll be done that part of the mouth. Okay, we're getting ready to sew the head to the body. And both of these again are still inside out, and what we're going to do here is we want 2 reference points in the middle of the body. So let's go ahead and fold that together, just like that. And then we'll just take our marker here, show up a little better, and we're just going to put a little reference point on both sides. That way we'll be able to match these up with the seams.